to a lot of my audience or maybe clients listening, a lot of times they talk about, we're going to do estate planning soon. So I would rather them, of course, get the life insurance over their head. But then what's nice is that we can adjust the beneficiaries once the trust is established.
Yes.
Do you recommend ever doing just a will and not a trust? Because I think sometimes people confuse the two. And I feel that throughout the process, there's multiple things that are done to protect everything and really document all the pieces of kind of the process. I'll let you speak a little bit to that too.
Sure. Okay. So in states where probate is terrible and where lawyers are allowed to take a percentage of the estate to manage probate, you cannot live with a will. Because if something happens and you end up with a probate estate, a lot of the money to raise your kids is now given to the lawyer. Here in Arizona, where I do most of my practice, and I practice in both Florida and Arizona. In Florida, their probate is bad. It's very expensive. The amount the family is given to live on is not, in my mind, enough for an average family. There, I would never recommend doing will-based planning. I would not recommend it there. Here in Arizona, we're a very senior-friendly state. We have a lot of laws and things that can protect people. So it's a very individualized conversation as to whether or not a will-based plan is going to work for you here. But I say will-based plan. I don't say just a will. It's still a plan. It's still, you're going to talk about each of your assets. You're going to talk about what beneficiary is on each asset. You do a beneficiary deed for the house. It's a plan where you're planning for each asset, how it's going to pass. And then if the minors are on the beneficiary for the life insurance, that can be a piece of that conversation. The will does allow you to assign a guardian, which in my mind, if you've got minor children, the two most important things you can do for that minor child is assign the guardian and make sure you've got life insurance to raise them. Those are the two most important things. Yeah. Here in Arizona, if you had to go through probate, it would not be the end of the world.
Sure. But I mean, you bring up a good point about being able to have money for the children. If you have the ability to assign a guardian, that's wonderful that you have someone that you trust. But gosh, what if they don't live in the same state? Because we have people all over the place. So we need to have enough funding for all the steps just in case. And I think a lot of financial planners just talk about college funding. What about everything up before even college could exist for just basic needs to and from household or like
extracurricular activities? Yes. They add up and get expensive. You get in club travel sports as a kid. I mean, that's outrageous.
And that's the thing, like a lot of needs-based planning is just, what do we need? And it's a multiplier off of a salary, but let's really talk about all the things from daycare, private school, whatever else they might need, the extracurriculars, and just getting someone to and from all these activities. I mean, we need people running, driving the vehicle. Like there's a lot going on, especially if there's limited people available. We have to make sure there's enough to even hire for some of the things that we want our families to have.
Well, and remember, you might not have given a 16-year-old a car as a parent, but if you're not there as a parent, you might want to leave that 16-year-old a car so that they're not as much of a burden on the guardians to drive them everywhere. So the planning is entirely different when you're talking about, I love that you say that. If I'm not here to do it myself, what would I want to be different for my child? What would give them the best edge they would have if I'm no longer the one?